Okay, so this is part 2 of the video where I basically explain how to ascend to the highest ideals of light and what it means to ascend and where we are in our third dimensional reality, right? So, because how I kind of explain this entire process is basically like the water cycle. You know how like water droplets from a cloud they fall into an ocean and then through evaporation return back, and it's just an infinite cycle. Basically, there is a light cycle or a consciousness cycle of basically going into space-time, going into infinite possibilities, basically going into experiencing what reality has to offer, which is everything you could possibly imagine, going into that and basically returning back basically to your perfect expression, right? Or I guess you could say, I don't want to say returning to God, because most people see like God as like something outside of themselves, but like kind of like returning back to pure consciousness and nothing else, just pure consciousness with no experience. Or like the primordial Om. This compared to the physical reality would look like the end of our universe is once all of consciousness returns back to source and it's nothing, and our reality just fades away. Just fades away, and it's just complete darkness. And as you know, like in the beginning, there was the triple blackness of space. It was the waters, the primordial waters, the waters of none. It was nothing. But then a spark of light, a spark from the divine light, or basically God chose or consciousness chose to come down through my metaphorical waters of the fourth and third dimension and basically created the realm of probability, or the physical universe. But as our consciousness rises, the physical universe is gonna just fucking evaporate pretty much, and it's gonna be nothing. And we're gonna return to pure consciousness with no experience, which is gonna be bliss. But you know, I guess it gets boring after a while, huh? I don't know. That's something for me to find out. But I went on a whole tangent because this is a multi-dimensional idea. So it's like 10,000 angles I could attack this from. So just bear with me, let me go ahead and explain ascension, right? So you have pure consciousness outside of experience, outside of possibilities, outside of experience and possibilities, right? You have your pure consciousness, right? As you come down from pure consciousness and you filter yourself through experience, let's look at this first metaphorically, right? So our ocean, right? If you compare it to like its relation to the sun, the water at the top is very bright. It's very vibrant. It has a lot of light. You can see very well and whatnot. But as you go deeper, it gets darker and darker and darker and darker. And then you reach our physical world, which is basically complete fucking darkness. Not really, but yeah. You know, I like to make fun of this world. You know what I'm saying? Especially the people here. But let's say in this metaphorical water, you in the fourth dimension where it's the dream world and all that, it's easy to see that you are the light of God because you basically have complete control. Like you think a thought and you think of flying pigs, oink. You think of flying pigs and they fucking appear. Or you're in an emotional state of joy, and that your inner joy reflects your outer joy because it's just like a dream world, literally. This is where you go when you dream. And we just oscillate between these. But it's obvious that you're like, oh, you're in control, you're not out of control or whatever the fuck. In the realm of infinite possibilities, right? As we get down to the realm of possibility, probability, or the physical world, Malkuth, the realm of the space-time continuum, where things have to kind of link together in a linear fashion, it kind of becomes less apparent that you have complete control of your reality and that you are the light of God. Because it seems that forces outside of you have power over you. This is the nature of, like, the devil, right? Or your ego mind, which is a construct of your personality in the physical world. Basically, your ego mind tries to put limitations on you in order to keep you to, it's not it's not evil, but this is kind of how it works. It's because it's lower vibrational, it's denser, right? We're in a denser reality, it's therefore, like, we have, like, you know what I'm saying, limited resources and shit, and limited time. So your ego works off what is apparent in the physical world and basically tries to impose limitations on you. On a basic level, this is like, you can't jump off that fucking cliff because you're gonna die. Like, your ego might be like, no. The animals that jumped off the cliff would die and they wouldn't evolve and shit. And the ones that didn't survived, and it got engraved in their cellular consciousness that it's a bad idea to touch that flaming hot stove. Or your body would react based off cellular remembrance over millions of years of intelligence, like, that's hot, I don't want to fuck with that. And this evolved into the ego mind of, like, this evolved into the rational mind of, I don't think drinking an entire bottle of vodka by myself would be a good idea. If you get what I'm saying, right? Or, I don't know if I should take that risk. I don't know if I should rob that store because pain. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in a limited body and I could die. Pretty much, right? So, but as we've evolved, yeah, the ego mind was helpful in the beginning stages, but now we're getting to a stage where it limits us because we're reaching, like, a higher consciousness, and we're reaching a consciousness of, like, anything is possible, or, like, we're God, or we have complete sovereignty over reality. So that's humanity's transcendence from the third dimension to the fourth dimension of infinite possibilities, which we reach through spiritual understanding of inner light, of yin light, or spiritual light. This is the realm of objective or the false light, which, you know, if you look at Christ, right, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at Christ, Christ is equivalent to light. We're in the realm of, like, the Antichrist or Satan or whatever, and where limitations prevail or whatever the fuck. Seemingly, once they only prevail if you think something has power over you. That's it. There's no real limitations. The devil isn't real. It's only real because you believe in it, and you believe in limitations. But I digress so much. It's so many points to hit. But basically, you can equate this spiritual light with basically the understanding, because, like, what is it when you get a bright idea? Like, look at the term bright idea, you know what I'm saying? In cartoons, when you get a spontaneous idea, a light bulb appears, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You a genius, oh, he's very bright, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? So just naturally, light correlates with information or understanding. So if we take this to a spiritual context, through meditation, through understanding of your true self. A Kemetic principle is self-knowledge is the basis of all knowledge. I didn't go to school to learn this shit. So that gives you a little insight into how I know what I know. But if you take light into a spiritual context, once you understand your true nature as the infinite, as the endless, as the consciousness that pervades all of reality, you are that. As the primordial Om or the primordial I am, once you realize that, you can get more in touch. You could basically raise your consciousness or your awareness to see more of the light of God. And you could rise up by embodying more virtues of God, like bliss, like knowing that you are free, embodying sovereignty. You know what I'm saying? Not trapping yourself in guilt, shame. Once you align with like divine love, you more spiritual light shines through you. Like if a guy comes into a room and he's just so happy, he's filled with joy, and he just communicates with people, he's just expressing his joy, his love of life or love of whatever, it's gonna rub off. That's like spiritual light. Like you see like a person, like a child who's just filled with joy, happiness. You look at them like an angel. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I love is like in heaven there are angels, in heaven there are children. You know what I'm saying? Cherubims, for instance. So you don't need to have like an intellectual understanding of God or like reality or your true nature, your true self, an understanding of your true self to get to that higher plane of existence, to ascend beyond the physical, ascend your consciousness or your awareness beyond the physical and beyond space and time and possibility to the divine I am. You don't have to like just have it like a rigid understanding. You could just embody divine love. You don't have to know shit. There are children in heaven who just happy as hell. Happy as hell. Man, I grew up in Houston, so we just be saying all kind of shit. You know, happy as hell, you know, that's crazy, huh? That don't even make no sense, but I'm gonna just say it just because that's what came out. But you know what I'm saying? They got children in heaven that's happy as hell, that's like, don't know shit about what's going on. Who couldn't explain this diagram? But it's through an embodiment of a divine virtue of just, you know what I'm saying, gratitude, divine love, happiness, joy, spiritual light that isn't physical. And by embodying higher virtues of yourself, you can ascend past the physical. To kind of explain what ascension is like, or give you a physical representation of ascension through sacred math, I give you this diagram. So through sacred math, we could kind of understand the science of consciousness. And through this specific diagram here, we have pi. We have 3.14. What I honestly don't know pi beyond that, but it's like, you know, whatever the fuck numbers after that, right? If you were to take pi and chart it in relation to a straight line or a central point along, like you'd have 3.14, 3.145, 3.145, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, such and such. If you were to chart it out with a point that extends all throughout the map of pi, you would get this. And through sacred math, we can understand the symbolic meaning of it, because naturally reality, all of reality is subjective, because we experience reality through our consciousness, which is inherently subjective. and objective just off the fact that it's all pervading, it's omniscient, it's omnipresent. And that's the paradox of reality. And the paradox of reality is perception, but that's a whole nother story. I'm about to go ahead and explain the symbolism here. So you start off at like a point, right? And like from basically the point of perfection, you start off going in big loops until you get closer and closer to the perfect expression of pi. The perfect expression of pi. Like this would be 3.14, but this would be 3.14, 3.14 followed by like 22 million like digits. And as you keep going, you get closer to like the perfect expression of pi, but numbers are infinite, so there's an infinite path of ascension. But as you get closer, as you add more numbers to pi, as you go from 3.14, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you get closer to this line of perfection. You get closer to the perfect expression of pi. This is an allegory for, and this is basically an allegory for spiritual ascension. Through self-knowledge, through aligning yourself with higher ideals of being, as you align yourself with divine love, as you align yourself with gratitude, as you align yourself with patience, as you align yourself with justice, you get closer to your perfect expression. Because this divine math, divine geometry is only a reflection of your consciousness, you. And this is like the nature of vibration. When you're like as this is kind of apparent in here, like this, like you're like all down here and shit. But when you're vibing high, you just happy as fuck, because just off the fact that you know yourself and shit. That you're aligning with higher ideals of love and shit. You know what I'm saying? Down here it's like harder to see. Or you're not aligned with divine love and shit, and you got blockages. And I'm not saying this from a place of perfection like I'm all the way up here, but this is just the math of it. So this is basically the pathway of ascension. So applying that to our diagram, right? We can say that down here, I'm not going to draw it because I actually like my diagram, but imagine there's a line from the perfect expression, there's a line from the creator all the way down, and then there is the path of pi, right? You can kind of actually see it through the paper. But yeah, that's kind of cool. So you can see it through the paper, right? So down here, most people are vibrating really slow, really low. They're not aligned with divine love. They don't have any spiritual understanding, so they have blockages and shit. But as you raise your consciousness, you get higher and higher and higher. You get closer to your perfect expression, or your fully self-actualized self, your God self. Or you get closer to enlightenment. You are enlightened by basically knowing your true nature. The Kemetic proverb is, know thyself. Self-knowledge is the basis of all knowledge. That's rule number 1. Rule number 1. So, yeah, I think I talked enough. I'll get back to the main video. One thing I like to do every day is basically, like, I try to find the lesson in life. Like, let's say, like, it seems like something is fucking me over in life, or like something seems unfair to me in life. I ask myself, what lesson can I learn from this experience? So I could be grateful, so I could be happy, so I could be joyful, so I could be loving, so I could ascend. Your heart must be as light as a feather. To be enlightened is to lighten up. You gotta lighten up. You feel me? So by looking beyond the physical, by not being a fucking nihilist, by not being like, oh, there's no meaning in life, it's just endless birth and rebirth. You break the cycle of birth and rebirth once you just realize that it has no fucking power over you. You're fucking God. You know what I'm saying? Through spiritual understanding, they're like, oh shit, like, I have sovereignty over my reality. I'm just a fucking God of my reality. I don't got shit to worry about. You could transcend karma. You could transcend all of this shit that you think has power over you. It doesn't. But we think it does. And that's the challenge of the third dimension. That's the challenge of Malkuth, is realizing that. More, it's like realizing how to handle yourself in any given situation in life. How to be grateful, how to learn how to be grateful for any situation in life. How to have love, even though maybe you've been hurt before. You know what I'm saying? Maybe someone's hurt you. Maybe you've hurt others and you feel shame and guilt. I've definitely been there. But once you align with those higher ideals, you can have love, you can have compassion for yourself and others, and you can see the God in yourself, and you can see the God in them. And you can transcend together. Unity is the key back to God. God. When I say God, I don't mean it like how most people mean God. Just know that. I'm not finna explain it, but just know that. So yeah. And this is a side point, but I find it interesting how everyone talks about how they've been hurt and how the other person hurt them, but not analyze how they've hurt others, how they've been rude to others, how they've spited others. Self-accountability is a big, major part in ascension. Being real with yourself is another word for self-accountability. How real can you be? That's why the highest, to me personally, the highest spirituality is what is the word? Self-authenticity, I think? Authenticity. Self-authenticity. That to me is the highest spirituality. Not crystals, not any, I don't know, fucking tarot cards. It's just being so real that you can be real with yourself when you fucked up. You can be real with yourself and not allow somebody to abuse you or you abuse yourself. You got to be real enough with yourself to say, wait a minute. I'm in a cycle of trauma or some shit, or I'm in a cycle of self-abuse. I'm in a cycle of not being compassionate for myself. I'm in a cycle of such and such and such and such, and being real enough to confront that, to understand it, and to transcend it. Plain and simple. So being real is one awesome way to get to God. I like to say real niggas make it to heaven. That's just a saying, don't take it so serious. But like real niggas make it to heaven. That's why you always see a real motherfucker just shining. They just shining. They don't diminish their light for other people. I'm still learning how to not diminish my light. I'm not saying this from a place of perfection. And that's what a lot of people try to do. I'm still on the path, you know what I'm saying? It's a journey, and that's what makes it fun. That's what makes the third dimension fun. I like it here, but there's other places I'd like to be. It would be cool if we could live in a dream state, but a lot of more people have to raise their consciousness, or basically gain more spiritual understanding, or basically know thyself for us to get there. But I'm helping in my own little way, right? But yeah, I think I'm rambling, so I think I've said enough about ascension. There's actually a lot more to say, but I covered a lot in a short amount of time. So just if you'd like a part 3, let me know. Or if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out, to comment or anything, because I'm here for you. I'm here to help you guys out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm open to learning new things. Maybe you have an interesting perspective. So please never hesitate to say, well, I didn't agree with this. What do you think about this? And I'll be like, oh, well, shit, I didn't consider that. Or a question is, what do you mean by the light of God or some shit? I'm like, oh, well, okay, boom, 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 boom. And we can help each other out. So, yeah, I think I explained ascension pretty well. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys all later, and have a nice day. Peace.